Touchdowns have always been more than just 6 points on the scoreboard. In the NFL, they're statements of dominance, moments of triumph, bursts of raw energy that electrify stadiums and echo across television screens. For decades, fans have celebrated not just the plays themselves, but the personalities that followed. The dances, the shimmies, the signature moves that turned athletes into cultural icons. From Deion Sanders high-stepping into the end zone to Cam Newton's Superman celebration, these moments became part of the game's soul. But then came Tom Brady. The man often hailed as the greatest quarterback of all time, the 7-time Super Bowl champion, the icon of discipline and team-first mentality, dropped a bombshell that shook the football world. In a recent interview, Brady dismissed modern touchdown celebrations as rubbish, calling them unnecessary displays of self-promotion. And while his critique could have ended as just another generational divide between old-school football values and today's more expressive culture, the controversy took a darker turn, because Brady didn't just attack celebrations in general. He specifically pointed his finger, subtly but unmistakably, at quarterbacks like Deion Sanders and Deshaun Watson. He mocked the six-shooter guns, the crowd pointing, the swagger that black quarterbacks have used not only as a form of self-expression, but also as a way to connect with their fans and communities. And with those words, Brady ignited a firestorm that went far beyond football. For Brady, the contrast was clear. "When I threw a touchdown," he said, "I looked for my offensive linemen. I wanted to celebrate with my teammates. That's what winning is about." He described running into the end zone with his entire unit, framing it as more intimidating, more unified than any solo performance. In his eyes, the modern era of chest-pounding and finger-pointing diluted the essence of football. But here's where things unraveled. By singling out quarterbacks like Sanders, Brady turned what could have been a nostalgic commentary into a racial flashpoint. His dismissal of black quarterbacks' celebrations as self-promotional played into an old and painful narrative. That black athletes, no matter how talented, are often criticized for showing personality, for daring to stand out, for refusing to conform to an image shaped by decades of white-dominated traditions. The backlash was swift. Fans, analysts, and even former players called Brady out for what many saw as coded language. Because history has shown us this isn't just about football celebrations, it's about how race shapes the lens through which players are judged. Think back to Colin Kaepernick, vilified for kneeling during the national anthem, a peaceful protest against racial injustice that cost him his career. Contrast that with white players who have expressed political views or social stances with far less backlash. Or consider the way black quarterbacks like Cam Newton, Lamar Jackson, and now Deion Sanders are often labeled cocky or flashy, while white quarterbacks with fiery personalities are praised as competitive or passionate. Brady may not have intended it, but his comments fell squarely into that double standard. When he celebrated, he was seen as the embodiment of leadership. When Sanders celebrates, he's accused of self-promotion. And that's where the sting lies. The irony, of course, is that Brady built his brand on leadership, precision, and control, but also on emotion. Patriots fans remember his fiery sideline rants, his chest bumps, his primal screams after clutch plays. Were those not self-promotional in their own way? Were those not Brady stamping his identity on the game? The difference, critics argue, is that Brady's expressions fit within the mold of what the NFL traditionally accepts from white quarterbacks. Intensity, discipline, fire, but never flamboyance. That's why his critique of Sanders felt dismissive, even mocking. Deion Sanders, son of Deion Primetime Sanders, embodies the new era of quarterbacks who merge skill with personality, leadership with swagger. His six-shooter celebration, his confidence, his energy. It's not just about himself, it's about entertaining fans, building culture, and inspiring teammates who thrive on that kind of energy. For Brady to call it rubbish is to ignore what it represents, the evolution of the game. The controversy has raised bigger questions. Should athletes be forced to mute their individuality in the name of teamwork? Or is self-expression part of what makes the modern NFL thrive in an era where personality is as marketable as performance? And more importantly, why is it so often black athletes who bear the brunt of this criticism? Brady's defenders argue that his comments were rooted in values, not race. They say he was speaking from a place of tradition, advocating for team, unity over individual spotlight. But intention doesn't erase impact. The racial undertones of his remarks struck a nerve because they fit a pattern, one where black athletes are constantly told to tone it down, to be grateful, to focus on the game and nothing else, while their white counterparts are allowed to embrace individuality without judgment. The NFL itself has wrestled with this tension for years. It wasn't long ago that the league outright banned excessive celebrations, handing out fines for choreographed dances and group antics. But as the league realized fans loved these moments, that they brought joy, personality, and culture to the game, it relaxed its stance. Today, end zone celebrations are a staple of NFL entertainment. Yet, Brady's comments reveal that not everyone has caught up with this cultural shift. The fallout has been ugly. Brady, long celebrated as the ultimate leader, now finds himself accused of being out of touch, of perpetuating outdated stereotypes. Analysts have questioned whether this controversy will stain his legacy, which until now has been nearly untouchable. Even some of his peers in the game have pushed back, reminding the public that football is supposed to be fun, and celebrations, whether flashy or humble, are part of what makes the game beloved. What Brady perhaps failed to realize is that his platform carries enormous weight. When he speaks, the world listens. And when he criticizes young black quarterbacks for their celebrations, whether he meant to or not, he reinforces the very barriers the NFL has been trying to dismantle. Instead of opening doors, his words risk slamming them shut for a new generation of players who want to embrace both their talent and their individuality. This moment is a turning point. For Brady, it's a test of self-awareness. Does he double down, insisting his way is the only way? Or does he listen to the criticism, reflect, and acknowledge that the game is bigger than him, that it belongs just as much to the Deion Sanders of the world as it did to the Tom Bradys? For the league, it's another reminder that progress in diversity and inclusion isn't just about who gets to play quarterback, it's about who gets to be themselves while doing it. In the end, the debate over celebrations is about more than touchdowns. It's about freedom, the freedom of players to express joy, culture, and individuality on the biggest stage in sports. Brady's comments may have been aimed at preserving tradition, but they unintentionally exposed the biases that still shape the game. And so the question remains, should the NFL be a place where individuality is celebrated, where every player, black or white, can embrace their style without judgment? Or will the league continue to wrestle with the weight of its own history, where black athletes are scrutinized for the very same expressions that others are praised for? One thing is certain, the NFL isn't going back. The fans want personality. The players want freedom, and the new generation of quarterbacks isn't going to apologize for who they are. Whether Brady likes it or not, the future looks a lot more like Deion Sanders than Tom Brady.